Hey guys, this is Beyonder. We're back with another one of my dumb farming video things. Apparently people actually enjoyed the last one. So we're gonna kinda pick up, well, not exactly where we left off, but with the early summer stuff. As you can see, the fields are no longer bare. We have corn, and it's looking pretty solid. I actually picked this location for a few reasons, but as you can see, these guys are looking pretty good, you know. Actually, see some of these stripes out there. This is actually probably about the worst any of our fields look. We think we have some kind of compaction issue going on. Just the roots are having trouble getting to the nitrogen we put down. But that shouldn't be too much of a problem because they'll get there eventually. We'll just have to deal with the compaction this fall. So to show you kind of what nitrogen actually does, I guess I'll kind of show you a before and after, because these streaks, they're bad for yields, good for content. So I got my priorities straight. So as you can see, this guy is looking pretty healthy. Got a decent stalk, you know, a few leaves. It's kind of this light green color here. And whereas when we get into the ones that got nitrogen good, you can see they're a bit taller and they got this nice dark green color. And that is what we want. We want that really beautiful, healthy, dark green color just everywhere. That is the goal. So that's kind of what Anhydrous does before and after, which we're going to put on. So the other thing we're going to be doing in this video, I'll give you a sneak peek, is see all these weeds here. Those are not what we want. Those are suboptimal. This is not, the whole field isn't this bad. This is just kind of a result of it being on the end here by the yard. But point still stands. You gotta kill those guys, otherwise they'll start fighting your plants. For, you know, we gotta take care of the corn, not the weeds. This is a Haggy STS-10 self-propelled sprayer. Basically, you got these big ass booms up here, and this booms out, and then we spray herbicide on there. You can say a lot of things, insecticide, herbicide, fungicide, but right now we're mainly focusing on herbicide. So we got like, shut up bird. Alright, so we got all of this stuff going on here. We got a big thing of the concentrate weed killer, then we mix it with water, pump it in that guy, you know. This is actually not our sprayer. This is a guy we're working with. He has 950 acres, so we're planting and harvesting for him, and in exchange he's getting all the spraying done for us. It has a 1,000-gallon tank, it looks like, up there, and we got these pizza cutter wheels, so we don't run over hardly any corn, you know. Keep everything together nice. So you'll get a ride in that too later. We had a shed blow away a few months ago, and we're replacing it with a new shed. So we're just doing some work down here. We'll see you later. Anyway, I hope I created hype, and most of the rest of this video is going to be voiceover in some capacity, just because I want to try to have a more scripted type thing, be more concise, so this video doesn't end up like an hour long like the last one did. So hopefully that'll be more pleasant for you guys.
So, now that we're in the field, we can get a look at the first piece of equipment for today, which is the Anhydrous bar. The purpose of it is to inject anhydrous ammonia. Wow! Anhydrous ammonia is the source of nitrogen we use. It is contained in that white tank back there. Well, actually, you're on it. But yeah, you get the point. Basically, we inject it into the ground about 6 to 8 inches deep, and that's just to make sure everything's sealed off good. We don't want to have any of it get lost. We don't want losses. We want it all to be used, and we don't want it too shallow to where it would burn the roots of the corn. So in the tank, the anhydrous is actually liquid, despite the fact that it boils at negative 28 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 33 Celsius for all you not American people. This is why you actually see some of this white gas come out of the ground when we lift it up at the end. That's just a little, at the end it gets a little bit of leakage. Never gonna really be able to stop that completely. The reason it's kept liquid in the tank is it uses that pressure system, which basically just keeps it under enough pressure that it's forced to stay in liquid form, which allows us to store a lot more in a tank. The tanks are delivered to the field by the local co-op, which, they bring the full tanks out, they take the empty tanks back and refill them and bring them back. So we buy all that from them. Anyway, now that we're down in the business end of the machine here, you can see the actual mechanisms is led by the disc blade, slicing the soil and getting all that residue out of the way. And after that, we got the actual shank. So the hose runs along there from the pressure system into the shank, gets put in the ground. And behind that, there's just 2 coulters, and you can see a little bit there. But they're bouncing around, they're just making sure everything's sealed off good. Alright, so just to give you a quick idea of what I'm doing in a skid loader here, I'm moving the dirt that they dug up to pour the footings out of the way so we can build a gravel bridge through that trench there and get to the middle section easy. That way, if we can move all the big, huge concrete blocks and some of the dirt piles out of there, so that way, when the work guys come back, they can just get to work on the shed. And that way they don't have to spend time cleaning up this shit. Saves us some time. We get a shed sooner. Yeah, that's it. So enjoy the skid loader. Can you find what's wrong with this image? Exactly. I need to grease the boom joints right here. Well, shit. So yeah, basically what happened is I picked up something that was a bit too heavy and carried it a bit too high, and the center of gravity was all goofy, and I hit a bump and just went and then I got stuck there. And the really fun part, so, you know, my grandma hears this, I call her, she comes down and she's like, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. So she calls my grandpa, she sends him a picture. He's seen this, he knows what the situation is. And his gut reaction is, well, I got about 3 holes left to golf, so I'll see you then. So I sat on that windshield, like, tilted. I had to sit there for 45 minutes until he came back. But when he did, you know, we had a good laugh. It was pretty entertaining. So, you know, bad farming makes good content.
Alright, get ready.
Alrighty, now we're in the sprayer, and what we're going to be doing here is applying herbicide. So the goal here is to use the herbicide to kill all the weeds, so as to take the competition away from the crop, so you know it's not yoinking all the nutrients. So we use this sprayer here. The herbicide is up in that tank there, holds 1,000 gallons, and it's sprayed out along various nozzles on the boom, and the boom is 90 feet wide on this machine, and we cover a lot of ground because 90 feet wide, and we can spray at a solid 10 to 12 miles an hour is our ideal speed. Some of the newer ones you can push even close to 20. So you can go hella fast on these things. But if you look in the bottom left there, you can see some of the nozzles are facing up or in funky directions. Basically, we can like rotate that and have different nozzles for different options. The reason we have that is to control our droplet size mainly. So if we have small droplets, we're getting good coverage pretty much everywhere, you know? So that would result in the best weed control. If you go too small though, we're very vulnerable to wind blowing it away, or it could potentially evaporate if you have really small droplets. If you go big though, it won't drift near as much. But on the other hand, you can run into the issue of you don't get as good of coverage, you miss, you know, the weeds just don't die quite as good. And yeah, so it's kind of a big balancing act. Anyway, if we just switch view here, we can see a few more details. And one thing is if we're peeking at the top there, give it a second. If we just give it a second, in the very top there you can see our pressure gauge, and that's monitoring the pressure throughout the spray system. So, you know, that's another key factor in maintaining our ideal droplet size and coverage. If you don't have enough pressure, it's just gonna kinda, you know, dribble out. You want good pressure. So that's one thing he's watching. The other thing is that camera thing there. Big red arrow is pointing at it. But that camera thing down there is actually looking down at the crop and sensing the height. That way, if we can keep the boom the ideal distance above the crop for perfect coverage, we have two more further out on the boom, so it can kind of adjust and contour with the terrain, because otherwise, you know, maybe you go in a valley, like a little valley, it's 90 feet wide, just whack the frickin' booms on a hill when you're at the bottom or something like that, you know, so that way if we're following the ground, we're always the ideal distance above the plant. And it makes everything go a lot smoother.
I think that is good.
So another detail about the sprayer that I thought was pretty cool, some of you might find interesting, is that due to the fact it's a high clearance sprayer, 74 inches from the ground to the plate, or 188 centimeters if you're one of the metric nerds. But anyway, I can almost fit under that, but not quite. That's so we can spray the corn when it's tall without breaking things off. And due to that fact, there's no axis coming across the bottom, at least not in like the traditional sense, you know. It's actually hydraulically driven, which, you know, I just thought that was a little nugget of information some of you might find interesting.
Well, that was fun, but he's headed out to another field now, so ways away. I got my riding and a little bit of driving in. Sung time, he's a nice guy, so I guess I'll go back to my construction work.
And with that, I conclude another one of my stupid farming videos that people like so much for some reason. This one, it was recorded in like early June, but then I forgot about it, procrastinated. Don't worry about it though. You know, there's gonna be new content coming soon. I got some of the late summer, like July, August stuff coming up soon. And, you know, if you enjoyed it, you should hit the happy buttons, you know, like, subscribe, all that shit. Because I flipped a skid loader over for content, and I think that deserves something. It totally had nothing to do with me being incompetent.